What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Shut Up.
Keep going.
Ooh, that sounded so like
Well, we could use our name as a self-help. Like if we wanted to make a quick self-help foray, we could.
I think about that too often of how like I wonder if people get confused and they're like, shut up, keep going. And then it's just like, shut up, keep going. Like, let those negative fears out of your brain.
I mean, I support that 100%.
Same though.
So
Same. I'm Sid, by the way.
I'm Kate.
Thanks for being here.
We don't do that. We explore
our internet curiosities. Oh yeah, I forgot. One day of me not doing it and I forget the whole thing. What? Oh, have you watched Physical on Apple TV Plus?
No. What is it?
It's with Rose Byrne. It like really kind of messed with my brain, to be honest.
Why?
So the whole thing is it takes place in like the 80s and she is like used to be part of the revolution or whatever, and then she got married and settled down.
What?
Like, you know, in the 70s, how like she like went to protests and stuff, and I don't know, strongly opposed the Vietnam War.
Sure. Okay.
And the whole conceit is that then she had a kid and got married to this guy who was also part of it, and now like guy's like getting to continue his life, but she feels very lost and like, oh no. And she also has an eating disorder and it like talks to herself in a very rude, mean manner. Like she's very self-critical. And I found that actually, no, I hate the word triggering because I think it's so like misused now. But like I did find it actually like very triggering because I feel like I've gone to a lot of therapy to like talk nicer to myself, and it's something I'm still working on. And I realized that after I watched that, I was like really off for like a few days. Like I really like Rose Byrne, and that was why I watched it. And I like saw all these billboards and stuff, and like it's aerobics or whatever. Oh, that's the thing. She like finds herself through aerobics. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. And like I started watching it and I didn't even realize what was happening. And then as soon as I stopped watching, I was like, damn, why am I being so mean to myself? And then I was like, this show. So I don't know. That's all I have to say about that.
Would you recommend or no?
I mean, like it's fine if you want like to turn something on in the background while you're like doing things.
Yeah.
And you don't want to just turn on like The Office or something. Like it's like,
okay.
It's like fine. It's not telling any like spectacular story. I think I'm like halfway through. Not all the episodes have come out, but it's going to be 10 episodes. And I think I stopped on like 5.
Okay.
And then I was just like, like it's fine.
The guy that directed Rollers in the Real World directed the pilot.
Oh, interesting. I know it's from the I, Tonya lady.
Oh.
I think that was another selling point because I really liked I, Tonya.
Me too.
And I don't know if it's based on a true story, but I was like, oh, I liked her depiction of like a controversial woman.
Yeah.
And this character isn't like she's easy to root for, but she's also like very flawed.
Yeah.
So like, oh, this is interesting, but I don't know.
Okay, I probably won't watch it, but
yeah, it's whatever.
I'm not a TV person.
You know, I am not either. And then I got really called out. We had our friends over and I forced them. Also, this is the second episode in a row that I'm like talking about Curtis Connor. I forced them to watch that Curtis Connor, the same video that I was talking about. And all his videos are like 20 to 30 minutes long. And like, you know how on YouTube you can see that you've watched it? And I've like watched like literally all of his videos. I just turn them on. Like they're just so, it's like candy. It's so easy. And they were like, oh, so you don't watch TV, but you have enough time. He's like, I think you have enough time to watch TV because you've watched all of this dude's videos. And I was just like,
okay, but at least you can say it's like, it's for my job.
Well, and that's part of, I think it's interesting what he's doing on there. And so it's like, okay, yeah, it's part of it.
I think it's on your brand. Great. We love I don't know.
Oh, did you hear my chest just crack?
Yeah, God.
Whoa, baby.
All right.
It's crazy.
What causes bones to crack?
I heard that it was like air pockets. It's like air.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're putting your bone back in the thing. I don't know what it actually is.
But
like it's not your bone. I do believe that it's not actually your bone cracking. I think it's more the joint.
Oh, I see.
So it's like your bone going back in there.
We're gonna have to edit that out.
We're gonna have to edit that out.
Have a field day with that. Okay. Do you want to go or do you want me to go?
Why don't you go? I feel like you're excited about this topic.
Am I? I'm adding too much. I'm talking about Nero.
Okay.
The Roman Emperor.
Okay. You
Because
sold this really hard on me, and I'm
I know, and now
a
I'm
little
like,
underwhelmed. What?
oh my God, I thought I just deleted the entire thing. I'm trying to make it bigger.
Can you just control Z it?
You know, I could, but I wanted the dramatics.
What's done is done.
Well, okay, so Nero's just there's a lot of funny stories about it that I thought you would be entertained by.
Ooh, that's probably true.
Which is why, because like, to be honest, I didn't look into any of the history besides the juicy stuff.
Ooh,
Like,
I
don't know
juicy.
anything about these wars he was in.
Nobody cares.
I don't care.
Whatever.
Sorry. And I can also say that this is Lindy.
So Lindy.
So it's a very Lindy topic.
So wait, how wild is it though? Like, obviously war's horrible.
Yeah.
People die still, and like nobody wants to die. But I feel like dying during one of those like Lindy wars just sounds like the worst.
I think about that all the time because I'm obsessed with World War movies, like World War One, World War Two. Love them. Could watch them forever. And did you see 1917?
Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yeah.
Love. And I rewatched it the other day at Caleb's uncle's house, and they have like a screening room. So it's like a theater experience again. And I was like, I love this movie. And it's so fucking scary. I can't imagine being in war. It's so scary. But to imagine like hand-to-hand combat war, like no thank you.
Where you're like getting impaled, and
which like you have to run up to someone with a fucking sharp thing and just being like, and like hoping. That is so scary. Like, I'd rather bullets be flying at me than like...
Oh, absolutely.
I would just run away. And I think they did, actually. I think people ran away a lot. I don't think they talk about that, but I think
I
it's
would
true.
run and become a forest child. Like, what is that? Lost Boys of the...
Or just be like, okay, bye.
Yeah, I'm out. No, that sounds horrible. Or like sword combat sounds horrible.
Like, you just have a shield and you're like, no, thank you. And how do you get people to do that?
Yeah, no, it's true. Like, how come people didn't just like have like an uproar? It must have been like a really deep sense of patriotism.
Yeah.
Or just like devotion to your country and like a sense of togetherness. And so it's like, this is your duty.
I guess.
That's the only way that I can feel like that works. Otherwise, it's like, why am I sacrificing my life for you?
Well, not to talk about War and Peace.
If I go on vacation, I'll bring War and Peace. I'll finally read it.
But there's a really good part of it where one of the youngest characters in it, he like goes to war and he sees like the Tsar of Russia like ride past him, and he's like, oh my God, like I love him. Like I love war. Like I believe in this so much. And this is not a spoiler. It happens in the first like 100 pages. And then he actually they like get into battle, and he like he's on a horse and he's like riding towards the enemy. And as he gets closer, he's like, oh my God, those people want to kill me. Like, holy shit. And so he fucking abandons ship.
I mean, I'm with you,
he
man.
Like falls off his horse and like pretends to be hurt because he's like, I don't want to get killed. Like,
I'm
what
with
the
you,
fuck?
man.
And it was actually really liberating to read that because it's so real. That's why I love the book so much, because there's a lot of stuff like that where you're like, that's so real. That's what I would do. And then also made me so scared about war, because it's like, yeah, that's what it is. It's like that person is just like, kill him.
Yeah.
Hate it. So I don't like to read about like Roman war. I don't really care because too bleak for me.
Wait, so if you don't like war so much, why do you like war movies so much?
I don't like hand-to-hand combat wars. Like, I don't like 300. I'm not like about that. But I like because the world wars are so interesting, like history wise.
There's a lot of stuff going on,
Yeah.
obviously. Yeah.
No, I do like war movies. I don't like hand-to-hand combat movies.
Got it.
Like,
Okay.
I hate Braveheart. You couldn't pay me to watch that movie. I'm sorry.
I guess I just associate it with my dad so much, so I like it by association. But I couldn't tell you what happens in that movie. I feel like I just watch it with my dad.
And that's why, like, this is really controversial. That's why I don't like Lord of the Rings that much. Because I don't like that. I'm sorry.
Alex doesn't like Lord of the Rings either.
Really?
Yeah. Pisses me
Oh.
off. He thinks it's bad.
Oh, really? I wouldn't. I think I know it's like really good, but I just like
Just a
don't
preference
enjoy
thing.
watching that sort
That's
of thing.
fair. That's fair.
I'm not saying yeah. Anyways, but a lot of wars were happening this way when Nero was the emperor. So
Why don't people name their kids Nero anymore?
I should. Well, not a really good name. People name their kids like Caesar.
There was this kid at soccer camp when I was in 6th grade. His name was Caesar. I don't remember his last name. I don't even know that I knew his last name, and I was obsessed. I loved Caesar. I had such a hot crush on Caesar.
Caesar's hot and ready.
Pete's Pizza.
Little Caesar. My friend's brother is named Julian after like Julius Caesar,
Oh, interesting.
which is
His
kinda
parents
weird.
consciously were like, we want to name our kid after
Yeah, and
Julius
then they
Caesar.
named my friend Marley after Bob Marley, which is kind of weird.
Huh, interesting. I guess when you're a parent, you can do whatever you want. I really like the name recently. So we've already talked about Petunia, which is out, I guess. I do love Penelope, though. She'll go by Elle,
Penelope's
which is cute.
a cute name.
And then Obadiah is my new
No,
one.
shut up, Sydnee.
You could call him Obi.
Is it a boy?
Yeah.
Obadiah?
You could call it Obi, like Obi-Wan.
I'm so mad.
How cute is Obi? Obi-I-E.
Oh, that's a cute name, but Obadiah is annoying.
Because Obi is a stupid name as like your only name. Obadiah is like the full name. Then you call him Obi.
Do you know those hip like Tumblr people that were like really into the woods?
Yeah.
But they like, I remember when I was on
They
Tumblr,
definitely have like a feather tattoo.
yeah, and they like had kids that they named like Forrest or like Fern. I'm actually calling out one specific family. I'm so sorry.
Wait, I have friends named both Fern and, well, I guess I'm thinking Forrest Gump.
And like
He's not my friend.
Do you remember 1924?
Yeah.
That guy that we bought the backpacks from, he's now having a kid and they're naming it Alaska. And I'm just like, is that really? You don't think you're gonna regret that someday?
Alaska. That just
By being like aestheticizing your child's name. That's what I'm kind of against.
But also I feel like Alaska just sounds like you like closed your eyes and like pointed somewhere and you were like, oh, Alaska, that's it.
Yeah, I would not. But I guess Sydney. Why
That's
isn't your
true.
name with a Y?
I don't know. My parents just wanted to make it difficult for people to
Really?
spell my name.
I like it that way, though.
I do too.
I'm really mad because the name that I will name my son, I just learned Quentin Tarantino named his kid that, and I'm like, fuck, people are gonna think I'm calling.
Wait, what's his name?
Leo.
That's cute.
Yeah, it's gonna be my firstborn.
After like Leonardo, or is it just gonna be Leo?
Leo. After Leo Tolstoy. Sorry, I love him.
That's fair.
He's
That's
like
fair.
a very important force in my life.
That's fair.
But yeah, and it's also weird that Quentin Tarantino named him son Leo because like he always works with Leo DiCaprio, but it's not Leonardo. It's like his wife's grandfather's name.
Oh, cute. Yeah, my mom's dad, my papa, his name was Ildefonso, and I like think it's like such a badass name.
Ildefonso.
Ildefonso.
How do you spell that?
Oh,
it's fine. That's kind of a cool name though.
It's like it feels like really badass. Like
Ildefonso.
Ildefonso.
Defonzo. What would you name? What would be the nickname of that?
Fonzie.
Cute.
Cute.
You should name it that.
Fonzie.
We're both expecting.
They'd
No,
call,
I'm kidding.
they'd I just had my period, so it'd be immaculate conception.
Could happen.
No, he went by Pons.
Oh, that's cute.
Which is cute.
Okay.
But we're talking
I
about
don't
Nero.
know. Nero. Okay, so Nero, he was a Roman emperor.
You didn't want him to come near you.
Hey, you kind of didn't.
Oh.
It's honestly so true. This girl just texted me that she dyed her hair the same color as me, and I don't really know if that's like a compliment or if that creeps me out.
That feels weird That makes it feel like it's like a conscious decision. That feels weird to text you that.
Yeah, she was like, oh, I showed the hairdresser a picture of you and was like, I want my hair that color. Okay. I'm just
Okay.
gonna move on from that. Okay. So Nero. Let me say his full name because it's so annoying. Nero Claudius Caesar Augustus Germanicus.
I feel like a lot of them had icus at the end.
I wonder
What's
what that means. I don't know. I didn't look it up, but I think it means something.
Yeah.
I think it means of that person. Actually, I think that's true.
Oh, so it's like De Leon.
Yeah.
Or like Day.
Because doesn't matter. That's a Russian thing too. Like, you know how...
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, yeah. I read the beginning of War and Peace and he explains it.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Anyways, he was originally... I don't care. Just so you know. He was originally named Lucius Domitius okay, whatever. He had another name, and he was the 5th emperor of Rome and the last in the Julio-Claudian dynasty of emperors following his suicide, which actually is kind of a big deal because those are all like the guys that we know and love as the Roman emperors. He was like the last one because he fucked it up real bad.
That would be... I wonder if that's like so much pressure.
Yeah, it did. He killed himself over the pressure.
Yikes.
Can't get more pressure than that.
Yikes.
But yeah, it was a lot of pressure. So he was adopted by the Roman Emperor Claudius at the age of 13 and succeeded him to the throne at the age of 17. Can you imagine being an emperor at age 17? Actually, maybe I'd be good. I was kind of good back then.
I just feel like you don't know things. Well, I guess, okay, here's the thing. If you're an emperor, because all you know is what your parents taught you. But if you're an emperor, it's not like you're going to get out there and learn the world. Really, you're just going to go based on how your family has previously been ruling. So I feel like it actually, like, okay, it checks out.
And it also is like, you're not really making all the decisions. Like, you're just kind of a figurehead in a lot of ways.
Yeah, except I feel like it would pose an issue because, again, we talked, well, I guess it wasn't this episode, but we've talked about how hormonal you are when you're that age and you just like want to have sex with everything. And like, that just seems like maybe you shouldn't have that much power when your hormones are that.
That's so true. I feel like it's never worked out well for like young leaders.
Yeah, like they just have sex with everyone.
Well, he's famously known for his unrestricted tyranny, extravagance, religious persecution, and debauchery, especially underlined debauchery. But the thing is, so that's like how he's known in like popular imagination. But there's a recent exhibition at the British Museum that's about Nero where they're like, actually people loved him and he was like Bernie Sanders of Rome. Because like the lower classes like were like, this guy rocks. But the stories that have survived highlight how nutso this guy was, and it's super
like
fun.
Unhinged.
Very unhinged.
Okay.
So he was born in Antium, south of Rome, in AD 37. Long ass time ago.
I can't even wrap my brain around that.
Did I talk about this on this podcast? Where
are you on another podcast?
Yeah. Check it out. I should. I don't know. Where I remember when I learned about the Vikings and it was like 3 numbers. It wasn't like the 4 numbers that I was used to of dates. It was like, I don't know, the number of Vikings around like 300. I was like, time goes back that far? And now it's like, we've fucking learned about BC. That really blew my mind. Time has been along for that long. But 68 AD or 37 AD. He died in 68 AD. Long ass time ago.
Long. He didn't even see 69. Gosh.
Big mistake.
Sounds like it was of his own hand though. So
yeah. So he could have.
When
he was 2 years old, his dadder. Did I just say dadder?
You did.
His father died of endemia. Do you know what that is? I looked it up. It's fucking disgusting. It's when your body like bloats because of fluids.
An edema?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I literally have that.
Oh, do you? Well, he died of it.
Oh, good. I don't think mine's that bad.
Okay. I mean, it's modern medicine.
I've never heard of that being the diagnosis though. For me, it seems like it's always talked about as being a symptom.
Well, on this,
But I guess if it's bad enough that you're dying, that's an issue.
Well, also back then, like, you just like
They'd
be like, "Oh,
kick
you're
the
sick."
bucket. It's time.
Well, because I was thinking about, did I talk about this? I knew recently I had to take care of Caleb's cousin who had an appendectomy, and I was like, back then you would just die, right?
Yeah.
And like, so there's all these people among us who just would be dead because of something like that. Craziness.
Oh, totally. Totally.
I am not Lindy because I believe, well, Lindy, they believe in modern medicine. Anyways,
I recently ditched my Western doctor and I've only been seeing my Eastern doctor.
how's it going?
Amazing.
Really?
Yeah, I've
That's
been
good to
feeling
hear.
so much better.
Oh,
I started doing cupping and acupuncture.
I saw the one on your back.
Yeah.
Does it just, so it's like a full on bruise and it goes away like
It's not really like a bruise. I mean, it looks like a bruise, but it's not. Like, it doesn't hurt to the touch. The whole thing is that it's I mean, it's tough because I asked her about it because I was like, oh, a bunch of people like have asked me about it and I don't know how to explain like what's going on. And she was like, well, it depends. Like, you get really deep into the theory in Eastern medicine, but because most people don't practice that, it's Western medicine. It stimulates and circulates blood flow, which helps with detoxification.
Oh.
But on the Eastern medicine side, it does do that. But what it's doing is it's pulling the stagnant blood up to the surface, which is why certain ones will be darker and others will be lighter.
Oh, I see.
And you're stimulating the meridian and all of your body. She said your body is like a map and there's a bunch of different places where there's maps. So like your back or your tongue or your ear. And it correlates with like certain organs.
Oh, interesting. That makes sense to me logically.
Yeah.
Great. Well, his dad could have used that because he died. And then his mother, who's quite a character, Agrippina the Younger.
Her name's Pina.
Agrippina.
Oh, I didn't hear the agger.
His mother, Agrippina, married the Emperor Claudius, which was her dad's brother.
So her uncle.
So her uncle.
Oh, gosh.
So
Brother by marriage?
no.
Oh.
Yeah, so she married her uncle. It gets worse than this. So just like,
good. Okay. I just like,
yeah, no, there's a lot of that.
okay.
So Nero's stepdad is the Roman emperor.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, hey, please adopt my son, because her intentions was like, I want my son to be the next emperor.
So it was like a strategic play.
I think so, because
like
she
it.
seems like a very politically savvy lady.
I like it.
So Nero officially he officially entered public life as an adult in 51 AD at 14 years old, and at 16 he married Claudius's daughter, his stepsister, Claudia Octavia.
Is this where all of that like weird porn fantasy, like sexual fantasies come from, of like getting together with your step sibling?
Probably, because they did that a lot.
It's Lindy.
It's fucking Lindy. So that would be, if that's his mother's uncle, so it'd be like his cousin.
Yeah.
He married his cousin. Okay. So Claudius died in 54 AD. So this is 3 years after. He's been married, happily married. Actually not. We're going to learn. Not
niece.
happily married to his stepsister for 3 years, and until his stepdad died. And many claim that he was poisoned by his wife, Nero's mom.
So the stepdad is claiming he's poisoned by his wife.
Well, he's dead, so he is not claiming, but people are claiming that.
Oh, everyone else. Yeah. I was going to ask about the logistics, but
so it's because Agrippina, this like politically savvy lady, was like, he's actually now favoring his natural son, and like he needs to favor my son. So like he's starting to, because at the time he was favoring her son, so she's like, let's kill him off
while it's still,
but that's not confirmed that happened, but like they were just killing each other left and right here. Which is crazy.
Okay. I wonder if it was less egregious since people didn't live as long, and so it was just like people were dying all over the place, so like killing someone was just like whatever.
It must be, because you maybe just didn't think about it like that.
That's what I'm saying, like the human life maybe, I mean, you could
like more
argue
disposable or something.
Yeah,
I think so, because there's just a lot of death in this story. So, one of the most obvious aspects and striking aspects of Nero's early rule, so after Claudius dies, Nero becomes the emperor, was that his mother had a big role in his ruling life. Like gold coins were issued that had both his and her face on it, which is a little
mama's boy.
And the title under it said wife of the deified Claudius, mother of Nero Caesar. And Agrippina is shown placing a crown on Nero's head in this big marble relief, and is given like the praise of the reason for him being the emperor, which is true. She kind of was.
Yeah. Was that common having, like, did the emperor's mothers usually?
Yeah, I feel like they were involved in a lot of shit.
Okay, so it's not like she was like the first to.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, politics back then were so petty. It was like so drama.
Sorry, my leg's so stiff.
I thought you were like, I was like, it was.
No, I'm like, feel old, like my body is aging.
So Agrippina's prominence was huge, but some people are like, I don't know if it was that big. The thing is, there's no like actual record, because as we're going to learn, most of the stuff that was written about Nero was written by 3 like historians at the time who were like a little dramatic and like sleazy and like loved the drama. So
they're like the tabloids.
Very tabloidy. So one of the historians is named Tacticus, and he scorned Nero for being, quote, ruled by a woman. And there was an alleged incest between mother and son. And it was her apparent desperate effort to remain powerful after her husband's death. And because people just didn't give a shit about their family. In the way that they just kill people, they're like, I don't care that you're my mom, like I'm powerful and like fuck you. So she's like, how am I gonna get my son to like care about me?
Fuck you?
Yeah, she actually, well, fuck you. And first it was like, I don't want him to say fuck you to me, so I'm actually gonna fuck him kind of vibe.
Okay.
Gross. Well, anyways, so there's a quote from one of these historians saying, from Tacitus, this historian said, quote, flushed with wine and feasting, Agrippa presented herself attractively attired to her half-intoxicated son and offered him her person. So they banged.
That's anybody's game, I guess.
So this happened. So then 4 years later, after he's become emperor, he became involved with another lady named Poppaea Sabina, and she taunted him for being a mummy's boy.
Wait,
quotes.
I thought that he was married to his cousin.
Yeah, but he's having illicit affairs.
Gotcha. Okay.
We're talking about people in power, Sydnee.
I just wanted to make sure I'm following correctly. Okay.
So, because of that, he was like, no, I'm not. And he was like, I'm going to kill my mom then.
How is that the solution? Okay.
So he considered poisoning or stabbing her, but felt like that was a little too difficult or suspicious, is what this says. So he settled on, after the advice of one of his former tutors, building a self-sinking boat.
Okay.
But Agrippina was aware of the plot, but she kind of was like, listen, I'm going to die. Like, this guy wants to kill me. He's the emperor. Like, I'm going to die. I'll just get on this goddamn boat. So she gets on the boat, and it starts sinking, but she's able to swim to shore. And it did kill some of the people that were on the boat, of course. But not her. She swam to shore. And she was met at the shore by a crowd of people that knew her. And they were all like, oh my God, yay, you survived. Because she was like famous. But then Nero heard this and was like, shit. And she knew.
She's like, I know that you were killing me.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then he heard about it and was like, God.
Was it supposed to be a surprise?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like you're supposed to surprise people you're going to kill, right?
Well, I wasn't sure if it sounds like things are different here and that what the emperor says goes. And so I'm just wondering if maybe he was like very open about it. I mean, if he's talking to his tutor about it.
Well, she found out about it, so I'm sure they weren't keeping a good secret about it.
Yeah.
So she swam to shore and survived, and he's like, God damn it. So he just sent 3 assassins to kill her. And 3, because she was a powerful lady. And as she's being killed, her apparently last words were, "Smite my womb," because she wanted the assassins to destroy that part of her body first, because that had given birth to, quote, an abominable a son.
Oh man. So like, and lover, apparently.
I know. I mean, she was really scorned by this guy.
Do you ever watch Game of Thrones?
No.
Oh, this has strong Red Wedding vibes to it.
I'm sure it does. I mean,
it doesn't, but it does. I can't say anything else.
Because they're like killing sons and lovers.
Well, they like stab this woman's stomach, and there's like 5 different angles of just like.
I don't like. What? I think specifically what I don't like is I don't like stabbing. It's too much for me. I don't want to see someone get stabbed. Stabbing
to me, yeah, there is something very like primally visceral about it.
Like, no, thank you.
Yeah, one time Alex was working on his car, and he accidentally, like, the drill got stuck in the car carpet or something, and so it like slipped and it went through his hand.
Fully?
And he came in with it like this, and so I couldn't tell if his mouth was bleeding or it was his hand. I'm so proud of myself for keeping it together, because I wanted to just like freak out.
It was fully through his hand?
He was like, Sydnee, there's something in my hand. I need you to help me. And it was just like, I gotta keep it together, because right now I'm the only person, like, I am your only hope. Everything was fine, but he didn't do any nerve damage, surprisingly.
Stabbing is the worst.
Would you rather be stabbed and live, or get like a arm chopped off by a sword? Well, I guess you could live in both cases, or maybe you die. You have the same outcome.
What kind of comparison is this? They're both being stabbed.
No, because I feel like stabbed to me feels like it's like a
really deep.
It's through you. It's like in the flesh. Where I feel like sword is like chop off. Those to me feel different.
I think stabbed. I don't think I'd want a thing to be fully.
Yeah, I think I'd also want to be stabbed. I was trying to emulate your like onions versus garlic thing.
Not as good.
Not as good.
Would you rather be stabbed and bleed out, or shot and bled out?
They both kind of seem the sound, because it's like the same. You're still getting tortured because you're like bleeding out, and honestly your body's probably going to go into shock, and at a certain point you're just going to pass out from loss of blood. So
this is a spoiler, 1917 spoiler, but I was so mad when he got stabbed by that French pilot, or no, the German pilot. I was just like, are you kidding? Like, that really? And then I couldn't believe that you would actually die from that, but you definitely would, right? Because you just got him right in the.
No, I agree. I
hated that part.
Yeah, maybe I'd rather be. I feel like, well, okay, so I have 2 different reasonings. I was gonna say first shot, because then they can be further from me. Like, I don't want to be up in each other's face. But I think if somebody stabbed me, I would spit in their face. Like, I'd say something like really mean that like they think about before they go to bed.
Yeah, I definitely would. Yeah, because then you could haunt them.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I got stabbed, I would definitely want to give that person PTSD.
Absolutely.
Like, right? Am I right?
Like, yeah. You are going to spend so much money on therapy, and it's not even going to work.
So, shouldn't have stabbed me. Thank
Sorry.
you. So he killed his mom.
Okay.
But some more.
And she's pissed.
She did not. She like
was
that. Because she fought really hard to be in power, and then he's like, just kidding, you're gonna be dead,
don't need you.
But like I said, this whole story is about like what they said back then about him, and then now what we find out in a more modern sense of like what actually happened. And what they think was that it wasn't just because he was called a mama's boy why he killed his mom.
That wasn't the impetus.
Was that the senatorial elite of Rome resented her interventions, and they basically were like, you got to get rid of your mom. And like, apparently exiling isn't good enough back then, which I don't think it was, because people like mouthed off in exile, and so they're like, you got to just shut them up for good, I guess.
That almost feels more in line with her, though. Do you know what I mean? Like, she feels like a very fantastical woman. And I feel like if she was in exile, that feels so just like you fade into obscurity. Like, that actually feels more rude than it's like she went out with a bang. Like, she got killed.
Yeah,
There
like
were three
everyone knew
assassins
it.
that had to come. Like,
Yeah.
she had the last word.
She died how she lived.
Yeah.
So, and that was a thing in Rome a lot, was that because matricide was like really bad, obviously, and it's bad now. But
Thank you for confirming that.
that happened, unfortunately, to a lot of inconvenient women, was that they were either exiled or killed if they like were too loud.
Did that happen to inconvenient men as well?
Yeah, but
Like, in my head, it happened to both.
yeah, but I feel like they were just like, get rid of them faster than being like, let's talk about this. Do you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Because Augustus, who was before Nero, he banished his daughter to live in exile on this island. Which, like, how could you do that? I don't understand.
Did he take care of it? Was it a nice island?
No,
or
it's
they
kind
just
of a
put
shitty
it
island.
Oh, shit.
So, as I said, Nero was married at 15 to his stepsister Claudia Octavia. And at 24, he divorced her, banished her, and ordered her bound and with her wrists slit, and had her suffocated in a steam bath.
Wouldn't the wrist slitting have been enough?
Apparently not.
He just really wanted
She just
to.
slowly bleeding out and then also suffocating from a steam bath. Worst way to go. I feel like that's one of the worst ways to go. And then, not only that, Sydnee.
Why did why did he exile her first? Why didn't he just, like, why layer it all on top of each other?
Because I think it was just more convenient to just know that they weren't going to bother you anymore and just like fucking axe it.
Okay.
And then he asked to receive her decapitated head at court.
Why would you want to see that?
To know
Is he
that
just
the job has been done?
Is he just like trying to like big dick and be like,
I
can
think
take
so.
it?
I really think so.
Like, I just feel like I wouldn't want to see that.
His second wife, who was the one, okay, sorry, I was incorrect. The one that called him a mama's boy was his second wife.
So he killed his first wife first and then had his second wife who was like, hey, your mom. And
he killed his second wife, Papia Sabina, by kicking her in the belly while she was pregnant.
Wouldn't that just kill the baby?
Yeah, but I think there was stabbing in general too. There's just like stabbing and kicking, and like it was just like
he did it himself.
Yeah, reportedly. So then, he killed a lot of women in his life,
Yeah.
but then he also was really extravagant and flashy. He built a huge palace only to have it burned down with the rest of Rome. Do you remember the burning of Rome? Have you heard about this? This happened with Nero. And it burned down for a week. So the whole city. Not great.
Not good at all.
But he, of course, watched it from a safe distance, and most of the people that died from the fire were poor. So
I thought he was like the person of the poor.
Yeah.
Not really, though.
Not really.
Okay.
He also was famous for never wearing the same piece of clothing twice. And he sought out sexual thrills like hog snuffling for truffles, which I don't even know what that means.
Is that sexual?
Let me look this up.
Because I know that you can go like truffle hunting and hogs find them.
He did weird shit with pigs, I guess. But the best one, this is one of my favorite Nero stories, was he had a favored freedman, Sporus, castrated. So he castrated this freedman, which I think means he used to be a slave and then he became free.
Oh, is that really? I have a friend whose last name is Friedman.
I think that's what it means historically.
Interesting. Didn't know that.
Or like your family was famously enslaved and then you became free.
Yeah. How interesting.
So he had the Sporus, this freedman, castrated and then
become a member of the castrati.
Basically, but then Nero married him in a ceremony in which Sporus dressed in the traditional garb of a bride and Nero played the groom. It was like a sexual,
like a zinger.
fantasy situation.
Did he have sex with him after?
Yeah. And then Nero repeated the ceremony with another one of his freedmen playing the groom.
I was gonna say friends. I was like,
they kind of were his friends. But the freedman this time played the groom and Nero played the bride.
but wasn't the whole thing that the guy was castrated, and so that's why he was the...
Yeah, but this one was just like to get freaky. And then this is the best part, Sydney. The pseudo nuptials were consummated on a couch in full view of the guests at the banquet.
How do you perform with that many spectators?
Exhibitionists, man.
Wow, okay.
Could you imagine, like, did you see The Death of Stalin?
Yes.
It's really funny.
I had that pause just because I remember I loved it so much and I have not thought about it in such a long time.
Oh.
It's so funny.
It's very funny, but it reminds me of, there's that scene where they're like all having dinner with him and they're all like having to act like they're having a really good time. And I feel like this would happen where like you have to watch the emperor like fuck this guy and you're like, and he's dressed up as a bride and you're like, oh, yeah, this is so fun.
So happy to be here.
This is such a
Thank
good
you so
wedding.
much for having us. I wonder, do they print that on the invitation? Like, do they tell you that's coming? Or is
I
it
think
just
if
like,
you're getting an invite to a Nero party, you
like,
already
know.
Fuck. Like, God.
You already know. But you have to go, otherwise
Yeah,
they'll
you're
just
like,
kill
I'm
you.
gonna have to get really drunk. So he also had another senator murdered because he was kind of a sad boy and it annoyed him.
This sounds like I heard the story of the guy who like started WME, like the agency, like the talent representation agency, and that there was like an assistant that was going pee at the same time as him, and he didn't like the way he peed, and so he yelled at him and fired him.
Yeah, I'm sure people are like weird about power. So fucked up. I hate that. So there's also quotes. So the three historians have talked about them a lot, but one of them was Tacitus, who said Nero polluted himself by every lawful or lawless indulgence. Cassius Dio, who is another historian, describes Nero sulking incognito through Rome at night while, quote, insulting women. And he also says that he practiced lewdness on boys and beated, wounded, and murdered others. And then Suetonius, who claimed that Nero, having run through the usual roster of vices, invented a perversion of his own at public games that he hosted, in which he would put on an animal skin and, quote, assail with violence the private parts of both men and women while they were bound to stakes.
What? How do you even come up with that? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That just feels like...
It's just like so aggressively like gross. You're like, yeah, I'm going to do that.
Well, I feel like, did he see it in a dream? Like, I don't... Where'd you
come up
like
with that?
how
It's kind of creative.
I was going to say that seems very like creative, I guess.
Well, so we're learning now through like, they're finding like graffiti from like back then that the Roman public really did love him because he was very theatrical and artistic. So I guess that kind of feeds into that.
Huh. Interesting.
He would also, yeah.
Did the people volunteer to be on the stakes?
No,
or like...
I'm sure they were slaves. Or not. Maybe they were some senators that annoyed him. And he's like, let's get those guys on a stake. But he was loved by the public because back in Rome, they loved performance. Yeah. And so he would often sing in public. I'm sure he was good. Probably not. People were like, yeah, you're so good. You should get a record deal. And he also was a big proponent of public games, which we know the Romans
sounds
loved.
like it.
Including, this is one of my favorite parts of Nero, in 67 AD, he participated in the Olympics and he bribed the organizers to postpone the games for a year so that he could participate. And he also added artistic competitions to the athletic events, and he won every single contest in which he was a competitor.
Wait, why did he make him postpone it a year? Was he busy?
So I think he could get a little bit better, so it seemed less rigged.
Okay.
During the games, he sang and played his lyre on stage, acted in tragedies, and raced chariots. He won a 10-horse chariot race despite being thrown from the chariot and leaving the race, but he still was declared the winner. And he was crowned on the basis that he would have won if he had completed the race, which I think we all know that's how winners are decided.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
But the year after he died, they were like, he actually didn't win.
Oh, wait, really?
Yeah,
After
which
he
honestly
died,
is probably the most horrifying thing that could happen to you.
Most ominous.
They were like, he actually didn't win that.
By the way, if you had any doubts, that's not what happened.
So, but he also, I mean, he was seen by the Roman public as youthful and vigorous because Claudius, the emperor before him, was seen as very frail. And so he like loved to like flaunt himself. It kind of reminds me of Putin. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So like I said, the people back in the day that were writing about him were really dramatic, and modern scholars think that it's because of like tropes that were used narratively. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Like a lot of the things that they said he did were actually parts of like myths, like that were passed down. Kind of
blended over.
Yeah. And he did really try to rebuild housing after the fire.
Okay.
But the like rich people didn't like it because he like was gonna tax them to like rebuild, so they were like, fuck you, and that started his downfall a little bit. So he basically, I mean, I'm not gonna get into the politics of it. That's basically what happened, is like he started just a bunch of like bad shit was happening in Rome. Like there's really bad inflation, there were all these wars, they weren't doing so hot, and so what do you do to a leader? You just like it's all your fault, you fucked this up. So a couple of the people in his leadership committed suicide after they lost this battle in Spain or something. I'm not really getting into the details here, but all these people, like higher up people, started falling and renouncing their support of Nero, and he's like, shit, this is like not going well for me. So then the Senate, did
he get remarried? Does he have a third wife?
I don't think
After
so.
the second one, it was done.
No.
Okay.
He's like, I think I should probably give up marriage.
I'm just trying to set the stage in my head. Okay.
So the guard that protects the emperor, it got so bad that everyone renouncing him that even the guard, like his secret service, basically were like, yeah, fuck this guy. So
seems bad.
And then it got to the point where the Senate declared him an enemy of the people. So not great.
How many votes do they need to do that?
Probably like 2 votes. So at this time, a courier arrived with a report that the Senate had declared him a public enemy and that it was their intention to execute him by beating him to death. And that already armed men were going to be sent to apprehend him and take him to the Roman Forum, where that would be public, which would honestly be quite a show to have your emperor be. Could you imagine just like the leader of your country just being, I mean, that happens a lot. That happened to Mussolini. The Italians love that. Do you know that?
No.
That Mussolini was like, that's how he died.
Publicly beaten to death. I mean, I guess different times. I just couldn't imagine, like, because obviously just because it's in public doesn't mean that they're silent about it. Like they're like wailing, like, pleading for their life, and everyone's just like, oh.
Yeah, just beat him. Well, the sad thing is, so this courier arrived. I don't know what this guy was doing, but he was like, listen, they're coming to kill you. They're coming to kill you. And Nero was like, shit. But actually what was happening was that the Senate still was reluctant in knowing what they should do with him, because he was the last ruler of this like long dynasty that like was famous. So they were like, we actually don't know if we want to kill him, but this fucking courier came and was like, yeah, they're gonna kill you. He like gave him mixed messages. So and by that time the Senate had decided that they were gonna try to work out a compromise with these rebelling governors that were like mad at him and try to preserve his life. But he didn't know that. So he, in the dramatic way he lived his life, the dramatic way he died. So He prepared himself to commit suicide by pacing up and down, muttering, "What an artist dies in me." That was his final lines. And as he was about to commit suicide, he was too scared, so he begged one of his companions to set an example by killing himself.
For him?
No, he wanted the companion to commit suicide so he could kind of see how it works.
Did they do it?
I don't know. It just says he begged one of his companions to set an example by killing himself first. I don't know if he actually did, but I'm pretty sure he did. So then at the sound of the approaching horsemen, Nero was forced to face the end, although he still could not actually bring himself to kill himself. So he instead forced his private secretary to stab him. Could you imagine? You're like, wow. I don't want to kill you, man.
But also, I feel like if I was his private secretary, he seems like such an asshole that maybe it was like, oh, I've been waiting for this.
Great.
Okay, glad you asked.
Like, don't say no more. And then when the horseman arrives, that he thought we're about to drag him off, that we're actually about to say like, hey, we're gonna try to help you out, which really sucks. His final words were, "Too late. This is fidelity." And he died on June 9th, 8068. And that's Nero. What a crazy man.
I was say he seems like fun at parties, but he doesn't actually. He's
like, I don't want to go to his parties. Like, fuck this castrated man. Like, that's not really.
When it heals, is there like a little nub or like?
Didn't we learn that castrated is only the junk?
Well, it's only the balls, right?
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, is there like a little, like, I wonder how that heals.
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't really want to look it up. I feel like I'd get some scary images.
Don't either.
But this is what makes me crack up about like Lindy and people that are obsessed with antiquity, because these people were like fucking insane. And like he like suffocated his wife through a steam bath. It's like, this is the height of culture to you. Like, sure. I don't know.
Yeah. Like, definitely, I think there's things that you can take from, you know, looking back and being like, oh, this has persisted. But I think there's other things that maybe, you know, it's not.
They're pretty depraved.
Thanks for sharing.
You're welcome.
That was definitely, you were right. I enjoyed hearing about it.
Quite the ride.
Quite the ride is
I'm ready to sit back and hear yours.
Well, for some reason, you saying that made me really not want to say anything.
Oh, no.
I don't know why, but I'm happy to share. I think you're, like I said, I think you're going to like this.
Oh, great.
It's called Pirate Joe's. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
Okay, so Pirate Joe's is owned by none other than Michael Hallett. It's a specialty grocery store in Vancouver. Why did I pause like that? It's a specialty grocery store in Vancouver, British Columbia, and its inventory consists entirely of store brand products resold from Trader Joe's, which is in the US only. And so it's like this guy basically is in Canada and he's like, oh, everyone loves Trader Joe products, but we can't get them here. So I'm just going to make like knockoff store called Pirate Joe's.
Oh, he just did a bootleg Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
Okay, go off.
So while he was living in San Francisco, Michael Hallett became a fan of Trader Joe's. And Trader Joe's, if you're not familiar, I think it's in most states. I don't know if it's in all states, but it is in most states. It's this like grocery brand, and they have like a lot of random products. So like pretty much, I'd say like 99% of the products in Trader Joe's are the grocery store brand.
I almost did this as a topic, but I thought it was boring. But I looked up what Trader Joe's products are, and they are just like, they basically buy the products from the like manufacturer and then just relabel them,
and that's why it's like cheaper.
Yeah,
like a lot of their product, like a lot of times if you go to Trader Joe's, like you can get away with a pretty cheap grocery bill.
Yeah.
It's because they, I guess in a way, like cut out the middleman, right?
Did you have this impression that when you were growing up, though, that Trader Joe's was fancy?
Yes.
I did too, and I don't understand why.
I think it was because Trader Joe's was just like, it was like a new thing. And I feel like they kind of do groceries different. You know, like it's like when you go inside, it looks different than another grocery store. They're all like themed, like getaway, I guess.
They're like nautical themed.
Yeah, like there's it's a different theming. I feel like it's a different vibe. The people who work there, like the experience is different. And I think maybe that like what's the word that I'm looking for? That like novelty made it seem
I remember
fancy.
I like loved Trader Joe's as a kid, and my mom's like, we can't afford that lifestyle. And now I shop at Trader Joe's, I'm like, it's like way cheaper than like.
I'm always surprised when I shop at, like, if I have to run by and get something from Ralph's, like how expensive Ralph's is. Because to me, I feel like Ralph's is just like
the grocery store.
Like it's just like a generic grocery store to me. And so I'm always surprised when it's like really expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, in my head, I feel like Trader Joe's was like Erewhon growing up.
Yeah, and it's definitely not.
Yeah.
That's probably because you can't buy like shit in bulk. Right?
What do you mean?
Like you can't, at Trader Joe's, they don't sell like bulk stuff like they do at other grocery stores. Like, you know how at grocery stores you can buy like a box of cereal that has like 3 bags in it?
No. Isn't that just Costco?
I mean, it is Costco too. They're just, their packaging is smaller.
Is it actually?
Yeah, I feel like at grocery stores they have like, but it's like bad consumption practices. Like they just have like bigger things. It's not that it's cheaper. It just, I feel like in the American psyche, it feels like it's cheaper because you're getting more.
Interesting. Yeah. So the other thing about Trader Joe's is they have like weird products. So like cookie butter, or like they have this thing called everything but the bagel seasoning, and it's so good. And it's literally the seasoning that goes on the bagel, on like an everything bagel. What else do they have that's like, I mean, I've done a lot of, this isn't like a plug for my YouTube channel, but I have done a lot of videos on my YouTube channel where they have a lot of seasonal items. And so I'll just like try all of their seasonal items because like some of them are just wild. So yeah, Trader Joe's, like it's not just like a grocery store, because without that context, I feel like you might be like, okay, well then why don't you just go get like Apple Jacks from.
Yeah, it's like very specific.
Yes. And so Trader Joe's, has quirky products. And after Michael returned to his hometown of Vancouver, he decided to open a store that would resell Trader Joe's products. So in January 2012, Transylvania Trading opened, and once it moved to a new location, he changed the name to Pirate Joe's, which I think is very funny. Hollett would make weekly trips to Trader Joe's in Washington, which wasn't too far, in an unmarked van, and purchase bulk products, spending $4,000 to $5,000 every trip.
How would they not like flag him? They're like, why are you buying all this?
I don't know. Maybe he was like, I am the leader of a youth group, or like I own like a summer camp. I don't know. I'm surprised too. But so he bought all this stuff, and then he brought the products back to Vancouver. I want to understand like the process. I mean, I guess I know that Alex has like a special license where he can just like go across the border very easily. But I feel like,
why does Alex have that?
I think it's common up in Washington since you're so close to the Canadian border.
I
and
see.
so he like he has a license that you can like go back and forth. Or he used to. Now he has a California license. But enough about Alex's driver's license. So I'm surprised though that he like didn't get stopped at customs.
Yeah, and they're like, why do you have all this Trader Joe shit?
Yeah, but I don't know. So he brought the products back and marked them up $2 to $3. So if you think about like how much time he's spending on this and like his rent, this like isn't very profitable. I think he was just like very passionate about sharing the good word of Trader Joe's.
But isn't that like not that, like that's not a fan. You're kind of ripping off Trader Joe's, right?
I don't know. I guess it depends. I'm curious to hear your assessment at the end of this, because I can see both sides. So he would make those weekly trips. The store had around 1,000 products.
Wow.
Didn't carry fresh or frozen foods. It was really popular, but Halat said that the store, quote, barely made enough money to remain operational because of all its expenses. Trader Joe's found out about Pirate Joe's eventually, and was like, hey, we don't like this. So but it is important to note that Pirate Joe's has spent around $350,000 at Trader Joe's. So like to a certain extent, there's no Trader Joe's in Canada. He is spending all this money at Trader Joe's. It's not like he's like taking their
Well, that's what I
products
was
and then
about to
getting the
say.
exact same thing made
Yeah.
and like ripping them off. Like I feel
Yeah.
like he's like, it's like the same thing
Like
as
he's giving them good business.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Halat was eventually banned from a ton of Trader Joe's locations, and they actually even distributed his picture to other locations as a warning. So eventually he would have to travel even further south to locations in Seattle, and eventually even found himself going down to Los Angeles
Holy
for
shit.
these trips because he had been banned from like so many. And so on one occasion he tried to disguise himself by cross-dressing, but it super backfired because someone in a nearby drugstore parking lot thought he was a robber and called the police.
Oh my god. Why doesn't he just try to franchise a Trader Joe's in Canada?
I don't think they're interested.
Oh.
Unfortunately. Yeah, I don't think they're interested. But so May 2013, Trader Joe's filed a lawsuit against Halat, alleging trademark infringement, unfair competition, false designation of origin, and false advertising. However, I don't think that I think like part of it was, it's like Pirate Joe's, like get your Trader Joe's stuff here. Like, I don't think he was trying to act like.
Yeah, that's why I don't understand that. It's like full on, this is Trader Joe's shit.
Yeah.
I'm just a pirate.
Exactly.
It's really good branding.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't him being like
misleading about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're really far from your mic, by the way.
Sorry, I'll move it down.
No, it's fine. So yeah, they filed this lawsuit and it claimed that the Pirate Joe's store was arranged too similarly to an actual Trader Joe's. And the store's, quote, prominent display of Trader Joe's brand products convey the false impression that the defendant's retail store is affiliated with and or endorsed by Trader Joe's. I feel like that could have been solved by just putting like a sign that says like not affiliated with Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, Trader Joe's just like, I feel like they play this like really clean image. And this was like, I don't know, you're just like bothering this man.
Well, because on a lot of like cartons, like it says like not for individual resale, which like that's what you're doing.
Cartons?
What's the like just in general, like food cartons always have that. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
But what's that law?
I don't know. I feel like I see that on like, so I'm thinking of, you know, the seaweed things that on the individual, so it comes in packs of 6. On the individual ones, it says not for resale, individual resale. So then if you sell the pack of 6, is that still not allowed? Bless you. Bless you. Bless you.
Excuse me. I don't know. I mean, I just like, what does that law mean? Like, why is that illegal? I guess now I'm like, why is that illegal? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. And neither did Trader Joe's because, oh, wait 1 second. I'm skipping ahead. So they sue this guy and then they submit an application for a trademark on its name in Canada in 2010. But as of 2013, it hadn't been granted. And as of now, it's still US only. I, to be honest, didn't care enough to go through like the Canadian trademark office and see if there was a Trader Joe's trademark. So just like use your, I don't know, you can do that if you want.
This is like really breaking my brain right now because I'm like, that is like, it's so like cut and dry that it like doesn't make sense to me because it is so cut and dry. Because it's like,
why is it cut and dry?
Because, okay, like counterfeit, like designer clothes are like cheaply made impersonations of like actual designer stuff.
Yes.
And like using the brand to sell something that isn't, it's like it's a false bill of good. What is it? It's a
counterfeit.
It's a counterfeit, literally. Yeah. So that makes sense to me because I'm like, okay, you're using someone else's brand to profit off something that isn't actually real. And then to like obviously steal stuff like Soprano style where you like bump off like a bunch of product and then sell it. So you're obviously making a profit. But like this guy like is actually buying the stuff from Trader Joe's. So like, I guess that is not illegal because it's not like he's stealing it from them or like using their branding to pretend to like, you know what I mean?
No, totally. I mean, it'd be like, the same thing as like if you buy something and sell it on eBay.
Yeah, it's just that's, I guess because of the mass amount of like the quantity of it.
Well, it's interesting because they're calling out trademark infringement unfair competition, false designation of origin, and false advertising. And so to me, that doesn't really sound like the issue is like, oh, you're taking our stuff. I mean, obviously that is what's bothering them, but like legally, that's not what they're going after. They're not going after the resale of goods. They're going after trademark infringement. I guess unfair competition. I don't know what the legalities behind that is.
But I guess why is it illegal to resell? I know that it is, but I don't understand why.
It's not. That's what I'm saying. It's not. Trader Joe's just didn't like it. And so that's why the lawsuit that they filed doesn't say anything about the legalities of reselling. It's about the legalities of trademark infringement, unfair competition, false designation of origin, and false advertising. And they said that the store was arranged too similarly. Like, I think off the bat, that just feels like it's like,
well, they're reaching.
You're reaching.
Yeah. So weird.
And so Hulot said, fuck you guys, and just kept doing his store. And he hired new staff members to purchase inventory because he believed he was legally able to sell the products he bought, which is kind of what we just talked about. Yeah. But also, like, why wouldn't you just do that in the first place instead of like drive down to Los Angeles? That has to be a tremendous waste of time.
Yeah, it's like, why? Yeah, don't you have employees? I thought that exact same thing. I'm like,
TaskRabbit, dude.
Yeah, come on.
So after the lawsuit was filed, he started marketing the shop as, quote, unauthorized, unaffiliated, and unfair, and modified the store's window sign to read Irate Joe's. Get it? Because pirate is Pirate. Yeah. So he just got rid of the P.
That's so cute.
I think he's cheeky. Aww, I like it.
Yeah.
So intellectual property lawyer Greg Owen argued that Trader Joe's had no chance of winning the lawsuit unless the store was located in the US or the lawsuit was filed in Canada. Yeah. They filed the lawsuit in Washington because they aren't a Canadian company and have literally no footprint in Canada aside from Pirate Joe's. So the lawyer noted the company was, quote, certainly benefiting from Hulot purchasing the products. Law professors, Cal Rustiala and Chris Sprigman also believe that TJ's attempt to sue its, quote, best customer would be unsuccessful. And ultimately, in October 2013, Judge Marcia Peckman dismissed the case, ruling that Trader Joe's didn't provide sufficient evidence of any economic harm caused by the operation and that Hulot couldn't be held liable under the Lanham Act, which deals with trademark infringements because it didn't happen in the US.
Yeah, fuck you.
So that was in 2013.
Okay.
This store is still going on. And in August 2016, the dismissal was overturned by the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, which sent the case back to court. And ultimately, June 8th, 2017, Pirate Joe's announced it was closing its doors because the ongoing lawsuit was just too expensive.
Damn. I mean, that's probably, how they're going to get him. Not that they would ever actually get something in court, but just by like suing the I hate that about our legal system.
I mean, our legal system is so like...
It's just about money.
I'm not here for it. It's my experience with it was trauma. Actually, the psychological definition of traumatizing.
Well, it's just like if you have the most money, you're the big guy, you can always crush the little guy.
But also, there's I think a flip side of things, which I don't know that I'm like as angered about, but where it's like you can just sue anybody for anything, and so like sometimes people will just sue big companies because it's easy, like. Going to court is so expensive, it's actually more cost beneficial for the big company just to pay them out like a couple $100,000 versus like go through the actual litigation and pay all of the lawyers and spend more money to prove that they're right.
Good thing, is it?
What? That you can sue anybody?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, I thought you were saying that was a good thing.
No.
I was saying a company could be so shitty and like not change any of its practices because anytime someone sued them, they would just pay them off and they could continue doing business as usual.
Totally. But I'm saying there's another side of that, which is people taking advantage of companies paying them off because suing somebody is so expensive that it makes more sense for them just to pay somebody a couple $100,000 than spend $1 million in legal fees just to prove that they're right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my topic.
Do you know, that's funny. But my thing is like, It's such a weird, that's such a weird thought experiment in some
totally.
ways. Because
Yeah.
it's like, you don't have a Trader Joe's in Canada, and
Yeah.
he's like buying a ton of your product. So
And
like,
there's like no intention to
why do you
bringing
care?
it. Yeah.
because he's making like a minimal profit off of it.
Yeah. I think that's the other thing is like, he's not even making a ton of money. Like he's like, it literally just sounds like it's like something this guy likes to do.
Just like the optics of it. They don't
Yeah.
like, that's weird.
But then from their perspective, because I feel like I've spent a lot of time defending his side of things, I do get that it's like, if you didn't know that it wasn't Trader Joe, like you wouldn't, there's no quality control for his stuff. And so it's like, maybe they don't want the public perception to be like, oh, I bought this thing from Pirate
That's so
Joe's
true,
and like
yeah.
it tasted so bad, or like I got really sick or whatever.
That's true.
And then they associate it with Trader Joe's and they're like, well, we have no quality, we can't do that.
Yeah, you don't
However,
want any liability.
that just feels more like an unfortunate thing that you need to get over and not really something you can sue somebody about or be like, you must close down shop, you know? Because I think I go back to the eBay thing
Yeah.
where it's like people buy products and resell them on eBay all the time.
Yeah. That's capitalism, man.
I mean, yeah, I guess it is.
It's competition. That's crazy. I mean, but that is like ticket poachers. Like that's illegal. But why is it illegal? Because they actually did buy the tickets. They didn't sell the Is it unfair?
A lot of times ticket poachers will like the legalities. I did all of this. I used to know so much about this because with there was a new generation of consoles that came out and they're poachers and people using bots to buy them all up was a really big issue. And so I knew it's something like in the UK. Well, I'm going to get this so wrong.
It's okay.
But basically the legal thing is if it's bought with bots, then that is illegal. Because bots are super, super easy to program and super, super common.
Like unfair consumption or something.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And so
Okay.
it's like you're doing something illegal to acquire the tickets that you're selling.
You're not buying them. Yeah. But then it's like, so we're policing like the ethics of like purchasing. That's interesting.
But I don't think it's ethics. I think it's like you're literally breaking something. You're hacking into something in order to...
I see.
Because like bots, like it's not fair at all. Like I remember like with sneakers, for example, there's like bots where like as soon as it goes, maybe even before it goes live, they go into the code and they basically search for product names and then already purchase all the inventory before it's even gone live, or like the second it goes live.
I see. Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, no normal person is going to move that fast.
Well, and it's like if a store is having a Black Friday sale, it would be like if someone broke into the store beforehand and bought them all.
Yeah.
Because you want customers to go to you because then they also buy other stuff while they're there. Kind of vibe, right?
Oh, I guess, yeah, that's definitely another part of it.
Okay. Consumption, man.
Consumption,
I haven't
baby.
gone to Trader Joe's in a hot minute. I kind of overdid it during the pandemic.
Oh,
I got tired of their food.
I started getting I used to eat a ton of Trader Joe's, like the pre-made salads, baby.
All
So into
my
that.
entire diet.
So into that. Actually, now I'm wondering, like, why don't I do that more? Like, I should just keep them
too.
around. They're so good. No, I started going to the farmer's market and like getting really picky about where my food comes from.
Mm-hmm.
So I stopped shopping at Trader Joe's.
I ate one of my favorite Trader Joe's things is their truffle pizza. Have you ever had it?
No.
So good. It's like it's truffle pizza.
Okay, so that kind of stuff doesn't make sense to me because truffle is really, really expensive. And so like, I don't want to say like clearly it's not real truffle, but I'm just kind of like perplexed. And so I don't understand.
Maybe
That's
they
like truffle
found
fries, for
a new
example.
way to find truffle.
I don't think so. I think it's just like manufactured.
Probably. Well, anyways, it made me feel really sick. And so I was like, fuck Trader Joe's. Like, I'm not eating this anymore.
Makes
But-
sense. But do you know what you should eat is more of our podcast.
Please consume
Please
more of
consume.
our podcast.
We have a video podcast, Shut Up Keep Going, on YouTube, youtube.com/Shut Up Keep Going. You can also find us on Instagram. We post image guides every episode. Shut Up Keep Going, all one word. You guessed it. And new episodes every Friday. Okay, and then some quick news is that Kate and I, you know, it's summer, we're traveling, we're doing things, and because of that, we won't have an upcoming episode. We'll need a week or two to get situated so that we can figure out the recording when we're not both in the same place. So keep an eye tuned to our Instagram page because we'll definitely keep you all updated there on when the next episode will be coming out. But don't worry, we're not like consciously taking a break or anything like that. We will be back soon, as in the next couple of weeks. So that's that.
Hot girl summer.
Heyo. Bye-bye.
Bye.